So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys this really fun game called Provide or Conquer that deals with the fall of the Roman Empire. Okay, so how you get this game is you go to MrRowan.com or Teach with Magic. Go to MrRowan.com, you go here to Lessons, World History, and we call them different things, right? But Foundations is basically the Roman Empire. So you go to here to Foundations, you scroll all the way down to where it says Rome game, I believe, or Provide or Conquer. So click on this first link. Okay, the other ones are a little different. This first one right here. Now, the first thing you should do is, because this is what the students are going to need, you're going to get this link right here, okay, and you're going to make a copy of it. And also important that the students themselves make a copy of it, because if not, you're going to have multiple students on the same document, and it's going to ruin the whole game, right? So make sure that the students each make a copy for themselves. It can be played in teams or individually, just however you decide. It's not that big a deal. It's a little better maybe to work in teams, that way they can discuss their decisions. So this is like a decisions based game, right? So next thing you're gonna want to do is go here to the Google slide, go File, put download as PowerPoint, just because this game was intended, this presentation part of the game is intended for PowerPoint, and it just works a lot better. So anyhow, the goal of the game is to try to basically balance two things, which is providing and conquering, or which is, sorry, said that wrong, which is population and order. Okay, those are the two things that the students need to keep track of. Okay, population and order. So you got to try to balance that, and their goal is to basically try to save the Roman Empire, right? So, again, so this is the part of the slide that explains that, so you can go over it with your students. The two variables are population and order and why they're important. And then to start off the game, you start with the year 50 BC, and the first thing you're going to see here is they can either provide or conquer. Now, this is the confusing part for students. Okay, so you got to go really slow the first couple times. Okay, so this is what you're going to show on the PowerPoint. This is what you're going to show on your screen. They can either provide or conquer, and this is how I explain it. So I say if you pick provide, you're going to get 1 in order. So then you show them, okay, I would say you show them exactly where they have to put that. So right here next to 50 BC, provide or conquer, they're either going to write provide or conquer, right? So show them this manually through the screen so they can see, and tell them if you put provide, then you're going to get a 1 in order. Okay, and show them exactly where to put it, because the students get very confused with this part. Okay, so provide, you get 1 in order. If you chose conquer, you get 2 in population and -1 in order. Okay, so if they chose conquer, okay, you're going to write conquer right there, and the order change, you're going to put -1, and then population change, you're going to get a 2. Okay, so the idea is if you conquer, you have more people, but you lose a little bit of order because there's more people, right? So again, the hardest part for the students is for them to keep track of this and know exactly where to put this. So as you can see here, it automatically changes, right? Which is really cool with this Excel sheet. And the main goal is to have as much gold as they can. So it's based off of their population. So the more population they have, the more gold they have. But and don't tell the students, but also if they have negative order, that's going to have very, very bad consequences in different events that happen in the game. So tell them that order is important, but again, just so you know, right, it kind of balances itself out, right? So it's very hard to kind of win in this game, if you will, because you have to try to balance both of those things, right? So then the next thing is a little scenario, right? So Julius Caesar has finally led the Roman army over Gaul. What are you going to do with these people? Accept the new people, or B, take their land and exile them as punishment, right? So it's like a little decision thing, and there's a little timer. They have 30 seconds to talk with their teammates, and then they write down their answer, right? So again, after they make one, you tell students, okay, raise your hand if you chose A, raise your hand if you chose B. Maybe even go over some answers if you have more time. I would say about an hour is perfect for this game, right? So if you have a little bit more time, it might be kind of cool to actually discuss their answers and their reasoning, right? So then again, what I do is then I show them, okay, if you chose A under event decision, you're going to put A. Or if you chose B, B, and then you tell them to change right here, right? So in other words, show you back here. So then you're going to show this slide. If you chose A, you lose 1 in order, you get 1 in population. If you chose B, the inverse of that essentially, right? So that's more or less how it's going to go. And then they're going to fill in their thing and they're going to go to the next year. So it's pretty straightforward, right? So same thing. They either choose provide or they conquer, and then they put in the changes there. And then again, another scenario. So I'm going to go through, skip a bunch of these again, and they're all different, right? So provide or conquer. I'm going to show you guys this next one. Okay, so for example here, okay, it says plus 30 in gold. So again, the students get kind of confused with that, right? So you got to show them where the gold change is, right? So right there, depending on whatever year it was, I think it was 52 AD, then they're going to put the gold change there, right? So again, it automatically changes their score right there, right? So every once in a while, so it's kind of fun to tell them, okay, how many guys have over 400 in gold? How many 500? And just kind of to keep track. So the students are seeing kind of where they stand, right? So again, it's a pretty fun game. It really follows the different events that happened during the fall of the Roman Empire, especially. So yeah, the students have a lot of fun trying to figure out how they can win the game and weighing whether they're going to provide a little more for their people or conquer a little more in order to try to balance those two variables, right? So at the end, based off of everything, they are going to figure out their total goal that they have, right? So it says here the Roman Empire, Romulus Augustulus, had been overthrown. Can the nation be built? Okay, so there's basically, this is the very end, right? So if your order is 0 or less, you have to divide it in half because your empire divides in half, right? Which is kind of what actually happened, right? If your order is greater than 0, that means you're strong, you get 1 in population, right? If your order is less than -10, complete collapse, you lose everything, right? So then this is kind of like the last thing based off their order. So this is where order really comes into play and why it's important, right? So some of the students kind of start realizing, I mean, order doesn't matter as much. Let me just keep conquering and conquering and conquering. And that's how they lose, right? Essentially. But again, it's a really fun game. There's a lot of real life scenarios. And, if maybe you think it's a little too confusing for your students, maybe even just do the scenarios, right? Maybe just get rid of the whole provide and conquer part and just do the scenarios part, because I feel like that's obviously like the useful part, the very useful part where the students are um, problem solving and looking at real life issues that the Romans had during that time period, right? So again, really fun game. The students really like it, and it really makes them think about these issues and try to problem solve, which is really fun, right? So, yep, that's more or less how it works. So again, I really recommend you going step by step for the first couple ones, right? After about like 3, I usually stop showing them exactly where to write their things, and they kind of get the hang of it, and it goes by pretty quickly. They're able to then understand how the game works. But again, I really recommend try it out. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully your students love it.